You ever notice how Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends just feels like November? It's not Halloween, it's not Christmas, just that in between space. It's cozy, kind of lonely, but comforting in a weird way. It's the show you'd watch after school when it's already getting dark outside. You've got homework you're pretending you'll do later, and there's that smell of cold air, and maybe someone's making dinner in the background. That's Foster's, that's November, and that's where we're at. So go ahead, pull up a comfy chair, get your hot cocoa going, and let's talk about the show called Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends first aired on Cartoon Network in August 2004, created by McCracken, the same guy who made the Powerpuff Girls. It ran for 6 seasons, ending in 2009. The show takes place in a world where imaginary friends are real physical beings created by kids, and when those kids outgrow them, they can be adopted by new children. It's such a creative idea, kind of wholesome but also a little sad, and that's the part of why it hits so hard now. The main characters are Mac, an 8-year-old boy, and his imaginary friend Bloo, short for Beauregard Q Kazoo. After Mac's mom tells him he's too old for imaginary friends, after that heartache, Blue's sitting in the bed watching TV, and a ad comes on for Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. While he's watching it, he realizes he can just stay here, and Blue can be safe. So every episode is this mix of weird humor, chaos, and those subtle emotional moments that sneak up on you. The art style of Foster's is bright and colorful, but it never feels overwhelming. It's soft, rounded edges, pastel colors, that warm Cartoon Network glow that made it feel safe. Even the music, that jazzy, upbeat soundtrack, gives you the feeling of fall. Playful, but never loud. Every part of the show just feels like comfort. You could be sick at home and just zoning out on the couch, and it always matched that quiet after-school mood. And if you were like me, you would look at the clock and be like, oh, I'd probably be in second period or eating lunch right now. Or was that just me? November feels weird. It's colder, the trees are getting empty. You're not ready for Christmas yet. You're just kind of existing between things. And Foster fits that perfectly. It's about letting go but still finding comfort. About growing up but not wanting to. And Mac visits Blue every day after school because he doesn't want to lose him. That alone feels like the emotional core of November. You're hanging on to the warmth of something familiar, even though you know it can't last forever. And maybe that's why I'm making this, because there's really no November show that feels like November, more like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Mac is the kid who doesn't want to grow up. Blue is the part of childhood that refuses to go quietly. Frankie is the tired but caring glue that holds everything together. Wilt, Eduardo, and Coco, each one is a piece of personality that made that show so alive. Wilt's politeness and optimism, and Eduardo's fearfulness but big heart, and Coco's nonsense that somehow always made sense.
No, no, no!
Every character felt like someone you knew growing up, exaggerated but real, and even when that show got weird, it never lost that emotional core. Speaking of Wilt, when I do think of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, I think of the movie Good Wilt Hunting, a show that really does kind of capture, I feel like, a fall feeling without it really being or existing in fall. It was a 2-part series, if I remember right, and I remember watching it, and it was an amazing show. And I really felt like it showed the emotional part of how Will became to be Wilt with his eye and his arm. and that it was just such an emotional roller coaster, but yet it felt so real to fit this all in a November, if you will. The world felt alive in Foster's. Every room in Foster's mansion felt different. Each friend had a story, even the background ones. You can pause any scene and find some random design that looked like it had personality of its own. That's what made that show feel so big, like the whole world tucked inside one house. As a kid, you just wanted to live there. But as an adult, you realize it was never just about the house, it was about the feeling of belonging, something we all look for when the world starts getting a little colder. Even 20 years later, Foster still looks amazing. The colors, the animation, the voice acting, everything aged beautifully. But what really sticks is the message. Growing up doesn't mean letting go of imagination, it just means finding new ways to help keep it alive. And in that way, Foster's is timeless. It's the perfect November show. It's a mix of comfort, nostalgia, and quiet melancholy. So yeah, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends isn't just another Cartoon Network classic. It's the feeling of watching cartoons on a cold evening, the comfort of something familiar when everything around you is changing. It's the warmth before winter, that soft glow of a TV lighting up in a quiet room, the sound of a show that somehow made the world feel okay for a while. As kids, we saw it as a story about imagination, but now it feels like a story about growing up, and how hard it is to let go of the things that made us who we are. Every visit Mac makes to see Bloo feels like holding on to a piece of childhood that time keeps trying to take away. And maybe that's why Foster's still sticks with people, because even when you grow up, there's always that part of you that wants to go back to the days when everything felt a little brighter, when imagination still had a place to live. So if you ever find yourself missing that feeling, just turn it on again. Sit back. Let the colors, the voice, and the music pull you in. Because some shows aren't just shows, they're memories. We can visit anytime we need them. And that's why Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends will always feel like November to me.